Hello, this is the Bible in fewer words. We are Carol and Steve Wells. This is episode 90, Judges, chapters 9 and 10. If you enjoy this podcast, consider supporting us at patreon.com/BFW. Steve, we have our first Patreon patron.
Yes, we do.
Matthew from Tucson, Arizona. I asked Matthew if he had a message for our listeners, and he suggested this quote: "It's never too late to be what you might have been." Thanks, Matthew. Hey, Steve, where are we going today?
Well, we got rid of Gideon in the last episode.
Oh, got rid of?
Well, yeah, he died.
Uh-huh.
But he left a bunch of sons, 70 sons, at least 70. And
That's a large family.
Yeah. We met the first, the oldest, what was his name again?
Jotham.
Jotham. I guess he was still kind of young because he was too young to be comfortable killing the guys.
Uh-huh. I'm not sure that's the bar for being young. I think a lot of people might carry that into their old age.
So Gideon had to do it.
Okay.
And then he ended up collecting a bunch of gold, said, "I don't want to be king." They said, "No, I don't want to be king, but I want the gold earrings of all the dead Midianite soldiers." So he got all of that, made that fancy ephod.
Ephod, yes.
Yeah. Made the gold ephod.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody went whoring after that. And now we're in another chapter.
Yeah.
The next chapter.
You know, I always thought a whoring had some sexual nature to it.
Oh, I think it does.
Oh, really?
Oh, sure.
But in this case, how do you go a whoring after a gold ephod?
God looks at us as being a spouse. So if you're not faithful to him, you're going a whoring after other gods or other things.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a sexual thing, yeah.
All right. So Judges 9.
Okay, verse 1. Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal. Jerubbaal is another name for Gideon. I don't know why that is. We mentioned that before.
Okay.
Anyway, Abimelech, the son of Gideon,
Uh-huh.
went to Shechem to visit his mother's family. While there, he said to them,
Would it be better to have all of Jerubbaal's 70 sons rule over you, or just one? Remember, I'm your bone and flesh.
Abimelech's mother spoke to the men of Shechem, and they were inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, "Well, he is our relative."
I guess blood is thicker than water.
Yeah. So the mom here is the concubine, right?
Of Gideon.
Of Gideon. He had many wives, 70
Yes.
sons. But one concubine, apparently,
Uh-huh.
this woman from Shechem. And so that's where Abimelech went. And the mom's advocating that they make her son their leader.
So she was like his campaign manager.
Uh-huh.
And she remains unnamed, is that correct?
Unnamed, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, she's actually talking here. And
She
you'd think
is.
they would give her
I
a name.
think so, especially when they give Gideon this other crazy name.
Mm-hmm. And they gave Abimelech 70 pieces of silver. He used the silver to hire some shady characters.
Abimelech went to his
Just
father's...
a second.
Yes.
70 pieces of silver, 70 brothers.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's kind of some weird stuff there.
Yeah, it is. This is Judges. It's all weird.
Okay.
Abimelech went to his father's house at Ophrah and killed 70 of his brothers on one stone.
All right, well, that sentence just is so incongruous. So I'm going over to my dad's house,
Uh-huh.
and, my brothers are there, and I'll kill all 70 of them.
You'd think some would run away or they would all get together. Hey, we should probably do something
Fight
here.
back.
Yeah.
Let's grab a trumpet and a lantern.
Yeah. Somehow he managed to kill all 70 of them on one stone.
All at the same place. So one, and then next, and then...
I guess there was this big bloody stone that he killed them all on. Yeah.
Very bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
This is verse 6. Oh, no.
But
There's
I forgot to finish that. But Jotham, the youngest of Gideon's sons, survived by hiding from Abimelech.
It's okay. That's a good idea, Jotham.
Yeah.
And I can't help but make a connection between 70 pieces of silver and 70 brothers.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
It's a stretch.
Yeah, well, it's just 70 is a cool number, and they use it a lot.
Okay. So verse 6, the men of Shechem gathered together and made Abimelech king.
Yeah, king.
I guess.
You know, up to now we've had judges, right? We
Yes.
haven't had any kings. And they made him king. Okay, now Jotham, in verse 7, it says, when Jotham was told that Abimelech had been made king by the men of Shechem, he stood on top of Mount Gerizim and said in a loud voice,
Listen to me, you men of Shechem, that God might listen to you.
the trees went to anoint a king, and they said to the olive tree, reign over us.
Can I interrupt you there for a second? What story is this? This is Jotham?
Yeah, remember Jotham got away, and then he went to Shechem and stood up on the mountain nearby Shechem and talked to the men of Shechem who had just made Abimelech king. And now this is his speech.
The tree speech.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a talking tree speech.
Okay, that's just a little bizarre. And I have another question. Where is Abimelech?
I don't know.
Okay, and Abimelech is now king of what?
Shechem. I think actually Israel.
Okay.
But yeah, the men of Shechem made him king. Later on it says he's king of Israel.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start this little tree talk
Sure.
again. The trees went to anoint a king, and they said to the olive tree, reign over us.
But the olive tree said to them, should I leave my fatness that honors God and man to be promoted over trees?
The tree said to the fig tree, come reign over us.
But the fig tree said to the other trees, should I forsake my sweet fruit to be promoted over trees?
Then the trees said to the vine, come rule over us.
But the vine said to them, should I leave my wine, which cheers God and man, to be promoted over trees?
Then the trees said to the bramble, come reign over us.
And the bramble said to the trees, if you make me king, then put your trust in my shadow. Or if not, let fire come out of me to burn the cedars of Lebanon.
That's the end of the tree story.
Yeah, but he does continue his speech a little bit here.
Okay, but I see that God drinks wine.
Yeah, that's really the main reason I kept this in. Originally, I left it out just because it's not really saying anything intelligible that I can tell. But I like that phrase there, wine that cheers God and man. So that implies that God drinks wine.
And gets a little cheery.
Cheery, uh-huh.
Okay, yeah.
So that's
whole
worth
little...
keeping just for that.
That's a bizarre tree story. And we could look more into it, but we're not going to.
I don't think you'd find anything.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is verse 16. Jotham continued his speech, saying, if you have made Abimelech your king,
then rejoice in Abimelech, and let him rejoice in you.
but if not, let fire come out from Abimelech and devour the men of Shechem. And let fire come out from the men of Shechem and devour Abimelech.
And Jotham ran away to Beer and lived there, out of the fear of Abimelech his brother.
I would be afraid of Abimelech
Yeah,
too.
and you know, that's the last that we hear of Jotham in the Bible. We're done with Jotham.
So we don't ever find if Abimelech finds him and kills him?
No,
or...
we don't know what happens to him. And all we've got left of Gideon and his sons is the one surviving son, the murderer Abimelech, who is now king of Israel.
Okay. Verse 22. When Abimelech had reigned for 3 years as king of Israel, God sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem, and they rebelled against Abimelech.
So that Abimelech and the men of Shechem were blamed for the killing of Gideon's 70 sons. Now, I'm leaving a whole bunch out here. You see I'm skipping from 24 to 45?
Yes.
And there's a very complicated story here that is hard to follow, and so I'm leaving it out. But there's a guy named Gal that inspires the men of Shechem to rebel against Abimelech. And so God sent that evil spirit between the men of Shechem and Abimelech. And so what basically happens is that the men of Shechem turn on Abimelech, and now he's going to have to deal with them. So that's what happens in verse 45.
Okay. Abimelech captured Shechem, killed all of its people, and sowed it with salt.
But some of the people escaped to a tower.
When Abimelech found out about it, he burned the tower down, killing 1,000 men and women.
Then Abimelech went to Thebez and conquered it. There was a tower in that city too, and the people escaped to it. Abimelech came to the tower and tried to start it on fire.
But a woman threw down a piece of a millstone, and it landed on Abimelech's head, breaking his skull.
Abimelech called out to his armor-bearer, saying, "Kill me with your sword, so no man will say, 'He was killed by a woman.'"
Oh my God. And his armor-bearer killed him with his sword.
So God paid Abimelech back for doing wrong to his father by killing 70 brothers.
And God punished the men of Shechem with the curse of Jotham.
So everything kind of turned out all right.
I guess so. This is chapter 10. After Abimelech, Tola, the grandson of Dodo, judged Israel for 23 years.
Yeah, and that's all we know about Tola.
And Dodo. Those are bizarre names.
They are. After him, Jair judged Israel for 22 years.
An interesting number, not usually seen in the Bible.
That's right, yeah.
He had 30 sons that rode on 30 ass colts and had 30 cities.
Yeah, I like that. 30 sons rode on 30 ass colts, so I guess donkeys. And had 30 cities. Yeah, that's about all we know about him. The Israelites did evil again in the sight of the Lord and served Balaam, Ashtaroth, the gods of Syria, Zidon, Moab, Ammon, and the Philistines. All their gods.
Okay, so we're back in a cycle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And God's anger was hot against Israel, and he sold them to the Philistines and the Ammonites.
They vexed and oppressed the Israelites for 18 years.
The Israelites cried unto the Lord, saying, "We have sinned against you because we have forsaken you and served Balaam."
And they put away their strange gods and served the Lord.
The Ammonites gathered together in Gilead.
And the people of Gilead said, "Who will fight against the Ammonites?"
I guess the next chapter is going to be God selecting a judge.
Yes, it's going to fight against the Ammonites. That's right.
This is getting too predictable.
Yeah. Well, the next one has a very famous story in it about a guy named...
I don't know.
Jephthah.
Oh, Jephthah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think our listeners know about Jephthah.
They will after they listen to our next episode.
Yeah, and they'll remember it forever.
That's right.
Thanks for being with us. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.